Welcome to another episode of Choose Your Destiny with me, your host, Nev Kragulevich. And today I am extremely excited. I was going to say proud, but I'm not really proud. I'm actually excited to have Miss Eva Barrios here with us. Eva, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nev. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. So, if you don't mind introducing yourself to the audience, tell us who you are and what is it that you do.
My name is Eva Barrios, and I am a fashion designer, image consultant. I consider myself a teacher. I teach others how to recognize their role in society, retool their closet with the appropriate pieces so that they can represent themselves in a way that is unforgettable from the first point of contact.
I love that. I love it. So, how did you get started in this business?
I was actually born into the fashion industry. My mother was a fashion designer. She made wedding dresses, gowns. My grandfather was a tailor. Some of my uncles are tailors as well. So it's a family tradition, and I grew up in it. I love fashion as a woman. So it just seemed like the natural route to take.
Okay, very cool. So, I am curious. I tend to enjoy fashion quite a bit. High fashion is a little bit too high for me. I like functional kind of fashion. So, what is your favorite piece of clothing or maybe an accessory that you like?
I love dresses. As a woman, I love dresses, but just a simple, plain base is very important. For men, that would be a shirt, a pair of trousers. For women, I recommend a dress. So having that staple as a basis and then working on that is where the magic comes in, because the look is always very similar, but it's very classy. It's very much the signature look, if you will. And then, of course, adding a very nice accessory. For instance, I like adding a pair of earrings for guys. Glasses are very good. Watches are always nice. And of course, a really nice pair of shoes.
I couldn't agree more. I tend to be a bit of a shoe fashionista for both men and women, and I tend to judge people based on how they show up. And so it sounds like that's something you help people with. But for me, for some reason, I focus, right? Like I look at the whole thing and then I just focus on the shoes because I feel like they tell a story of a person.
Mhm. They
So,
sure do.
yeah, so you mentioned a dress for ladies. You know, is there a particular style or particular color, or does it really depend on a person?
The most flattering dresses tend to be the wrap dresses, which Diane von Furstenberg is very popular for those. Very flattering, very classy. It creates a very slim silhouette. It draws the eye to the smallest part of our body, which is our waist. And of course, the longer the sleeve, the better, because we want the attention to be on us, not necessarily on our body. So the wrap dress is a very good um, example that can be worn in every situation. And that's really what I focus on, helping people look great no matter where they are. Because people, for the most part, tend to dress well when they're going to a special occasion. But to be honest, we have to look good pretty much all year long because we never know who we're going to meet.
I couldn't agree with you more. You know, I have done definitely some business and got some clients just going into the coffee shop just to get a cup of coffee and something to munch on. And right, showing up, we tend to look at people and decide in a moment's notice whether we want to do business with them or not, right? If somebody is somebody we want to talk to and approach, or if it's, ooh, I don't think this is going to work for me. So you also
Mhm.
mentioned that you help folks with the closets, or at least that's what I heard. So how does that work? How does that part of the business work?
Well, it's not just about purchasing clothing, it's also about taking care of the pieces, especially some of these pricier pieces, the ones that I really like to concentrate on. They're actually an investment. So we want to make sure that they're taken care of, that we're folding them if we happen to do that, that we're hanging them correctly, that we're washing them correctly, and we're really taking care of them as the investments that they are. Some of these pieces are one of a kind sometimes, and they can last for decades if we take care of them very well. So having a good closet, that means having the right organization, is very important. And then also having the tools to take care of the clothing itself.
Okay, so it sounds like what you focus on is not, I think it's called like fast fashion, or I am butchering it, so I apologize for that. But it's those, relatively speaking, cheap pieces that you can put on once or twice. By the time you wash it, right, the rhinestones fall off, the buttons fall off, and it never looks exactly the same. So it's literally, you put it on, and after that, the only thing you can do is just throw it away.
Yeah, that's really what's happening in society right now. And the economy is changing. Of course, you know, a lot of retailers are going out of business. A lot of our clothing is made this way in a disposable manner. People just wear it a couple of times, they throw it out. But quality is everlasting. And really, quality is what we're looking for, because people can tell, you know, how much effort we put into the way we look, how much we respect them. And really, our role in society is really visible just from the first point of contact. People can tell what we value and the value we place.
I like that, and I do agree with you that sometimes some of the traditional high quality pieces, I mean, they can last literally for decades in a well made suit that fits the body, and as long as the body doesn't change too much, is something that you really can wear throughout the decades and still be very fashionable and good looking.
Absolutely.
So if some of the audience that we are looking to help out as well might be looking for individuals just like you. They might be changing careers, they might be starting a business, or maybe they're just saying, you know what, my closet stuff, I don't always appear as neat. So what are some of the tips that you would give them to sort of really consider as they're potentially looking to change their style, looking to change their look?
First things first, think about the audience. Who is the target audience? Because we want to fit into our environment. For instance, someone that is working as a programmer, a computer programmer, might have a different audience, and that would be their employers, their fellow coworkers. They're very casual. They might not need to be dressed up all the time. But someone that is in sales does need to look their best. Someone that works in Wall Street, someone that is looking for um, a career facing the public eye, especially if they're working in high-end sales, they do really need to look their best. So the first thing is focusing on who the audience is and mimicking that. What are they wearing? What does the audience expect? Because one thing is going to college, graduating, or having a really good product to sell. But if the connection is not there with the audience, it's just not going to happen. So looking at what the audience is wearing and also figuring out what looks good on them, because we have different body shapes. What might look good on me is probably not going to look good on someone else. So we have to see the body, you know, the type of shape it has, the colors, and figure out a color that looks really well, that matches their skin color. And also, once we have the clothes, making sure that they actually fit, which means tailoring. Tailoring is very important. And we don't necessarily need to have a large budget. As long as we have a good tailor, then the problem is solved, because it's all about the fit. Making sure that clothes fit is half the battle right there.
Okay, very, very cool. And it sounds like you all, again, going back to that quality piece, because if you bring something really cheap to the tailor, even the tailor can't really save it because it's the cloth itself. Yes.
Tailors can do miracles. But
Okay,
yeah,
good to know.
we can. And, you know, this is what I have done for a lot of my clients. Again, it's not about your budget, it's about how much effort we put into looking good. I have gone to thrift stores and purchased some shirts, just regular shirts, but once we tailor them, it looks beautiful because it looks expensive, it fits well. And some of these clothes from the vintage clothing is made to last. Again, we're looking at that quality, that classic quality, the fabric. Our best tool for knowing whether fashion is good or not is our hands. If we touch it, we touch the fabric, we can tell if it's quality. We stretch it out, we see how much it gives, if we can actually tailor it. And yes, if it's too worn, we might not be able to do anything with it. But as long as it has some good consistency, we might be able to work with it. Yeah.
Okay, fabulous. I love that. And so we talked about clothes. We talked about sort of right, like finding the right fit and the colors, and of course the having something with the quality. What about the rest of the image? Because you talked about also being the image consultant, and what comes to my mind is, of course, the hair, the makeup, right? Like all the other components that make that unique package. Because clothes only go so far. If we don't take care of the stuff that people see, it potentially could be some disconnect and, as such, potential distrust.
Absolutely. First and foremost is grooming, very important. For men, clean shaven is preferred, of course, and having nice, neat hair, smelling good. I recommend go to Neiman Marcus, try out some of their best perfumes, some colognes, and pick the one that you feel represents you. Choose that as a signature scent, because we also have to think about other senses: auditory, kinesthetic, uh, gustatory, the smell, the way you smell when you hug someone, when you touch them. Cream, just putting cream on our hands, making sure they're soft, our fingers, making sure our nails are manicured. Little things like that are hard to describe, but once you're in the presence of someone that has the whole package wrapped, you know this person is really putting their best foot forward, and there's someone you can trust in.
I absolutely love that. So, for some of the audience who is potentially looking to become an image consultant, right, go into that line of business, what is one piece of advice you would potentially give them, something to think about as they're thinking as this as a career choice?
First and foremost is having a sense of style, but also a sense of empathy, because this is about helping someone else. It's not about us. It's not about what the latest fashions in New York are. Not at all. This is about helping someone. So being able to put ourselves in other people's shoes and recognizing that life is hard for them and we have to help them. So putting ourselves in that position and making sure that the pieces will help them excel in whatever situation they're in is number one. Because, like I said, it's not about the budget, it's not about what's trending, what's famous on Instagram right now. It's about actually helping someone succeed.
Okay, very well said. And I really like the concept of caring for another person. So it's not just how you look, and you might be fashionable for yourself, but really understanding the needs of those that you serve, and potentially also being able to help them with their body shapes. Because, as you have mentioned, we're all very, very different, from skin tone to the shape to the size to how tall or short we are. And so all of those things matter. So, what is, to switch it just slightly, what is maybe an example of a person that you have helped, right? So, because we all like to know what is it that you do, but I think a lot of us focus on the result that happens through this sort of transformation transition. So, if you have an example that you could share with us.
Of course, a recent example of my success is Lori Dunham. She's one of my mentees, and Lori was actually working at an Amazon warehouse when I met her. And she's a very bright woman, very smart, very kind, loving. She just wasn't in the right place as far as style. Everything else was wonderful, very bright, but just adding a couple of pieces, in this case, changing her wardrobe, a different hairstyle, adding a piece, of jewelry. In this case, it was earrings, and just really good photography. Photography is very important. Lighting is wonderful. It can do miracles. And all of this just increased her self esteem. She blossomed. She found out that she was all of that and more. And it wasn't because of the clothing, it was because it was inside of her. She just allowed herself to fully embrace that. And that empowered her to go out there and speak her mind. She opened up her store on Amazon. It became very successful. And of course, now she has her own little radio show, and I'm very excited about that. She's out there speaking, she's empowering other people, and I'm very, very proud of her.
That is really really cool. I like that, such a small change, and it's not small, but on the realm of things is, you're not looking to change the way that the earth spins. So relatively speaking, small, but it has such a powerful impact to build somebody's self-confidence and ability to sort of say, if I can do this, I can do a lot of different things, and I can go out there and really enjoy it. So that's a really cool piece. Thank you for sharing it. Quite inspiring. So, what is I guess if I was to say, the perfect client for you?
The perfect client is someone that knows what they want and is career driven. They're ambitious, they know who their target audience is, and they aren't afraid to break any of the boundaries, limitations that society might have. They are open minded, they are outgoing, adventurous, and very spoken because that's the way I am. I tend to work with people that are similar to me, people that are not afraid to try new things. And changing our image, the way that we walk, the way we present ourselves in society can be a little intimidating, and that's okay. My perfect client doesn't necessarily have to have all of that, but they do have to have an open mind, because the secret to success is once you achieve that, once you present yourself in that way, some people get turned off and it causes some jealousy because success is obvious. If someone is driven, they're out there working, they're succeeding, it can cause jealousy. And not everybody wants to be with people that are remorseful. So it does take a certain amount of energy and overpowering that negativity to say, yes, I do want to be my best self. I am going to put my best foot forward, and I'm not going to care what people think because I'm bettering myself. So my perfect client is someone that is probably a business owner, someone that is looking to change their life, looking to better themselves, and someone that really wants to simplify their life, because that's what I do. I give people a uniform. So they wake up in the morning, they already know what they're going to wear. They don't have to think about matching. They don't have to think about being in style. They don't have to think about their body shape. They just put on the clothes and go out. So someone that wants structure and is really confident and is looking for even more confidence.
I like that. As somebody who, as a business owner, a lot of my focus goes towards my business and serving clients and looking at how do I explain some incredibly complex financial things to people and simplify it in such a way that my 10-year-old nephew and niece can do. And so for me to have to focus on what am I going to put on, and does this match, and does this look good, right? Like it wastes some of my thinking energy. And so I like the idea, I always loved the idea of that uniform look where you have pieces. It doesn't have to be the same black pair of pants, right, that you wear over, but the uniform pieces that all work well together that I can just grab in a closet, put on, and go out to do what it is that I want to do and not focus on my style because somebody like you could fix all that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now you mentioned something very interesting, and if that's okay, I'm gonna ask. You talked a little bit about we talked about little different things, but you mentioned something about changing the way they walk. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Because that was something that was really interesting to me, and I would love to learn a handful of tips or just what you meant by that.
Our posture is very important. And I will tell you this as someone that has had horrible posture, horrible posture. I used to wear a brace when I was a little child, and it would pull my shoulders back, and it was just horrible for my self-esteem. Posture has always been a hot topic for me, but I noticed that when I dress well, I tended to walk a little taller. I felt better about myself. So the way we dress amplifies our self-esteem. It amplifies the way people see us, the way they perceive us. When we walk in the room, we stand a certain way, and people look. They turn around and they're thinking, well, look who walked in, look what she's wearing. So things like that, we can't necessarily define, but they're there. It's our senses. We can feel, we can perceive the power people have. And of course, I also have a mentor, Brianna Bauer. She taught me how to stand correctly. So mentors have mentors. In this case, my mentor taught me how to walk. I've taken modeling classes, how to walk the runway. These little pieces, they all come together once we actually put our costume. I look at clothing as a costume. Once we put our costume on, the whole image comes together. That's the character that we represent in society. And of course, first thing is figuring out what kind of character we want to play in this movie, the movie of our lives. In this movie, I play the fashion designer because that's what I do. But other people, they might play the banker. They might play the teacher, the doctor. So figuring out where we fit and how we should dress, and of course, the way we should walk is very important.
Okay, thank you for explaining. That was quite powerful, and I would agree with you that I know for me when I dress well, just like you, I tend to walk just a little bit taller. There tends to be a bit more confidence in me. And I remember one time it was a business trip, and I misunderstood what we were doing, so I dressed down when everybody else dressed up, and I remember being completely embarrassed. I didn't look bad. I mean, everything was clean and it was fine, but everybody else was like wearing really nice suits and was like, right, like ready to go do business. And there's little Nev, wearing, I don't wear jeans, but I wore like some sort of chinos and, just a shirt and a sweater. And I'm going, oh my gosh, like never again. I'm never doing this to myself again, because I felt completely, and not in a way that I was overdressed, because I can always live with that. That was so underdressed that I think even what I had to say when I had to say it was discounted because of the way I looked.
Mm.
So
yeah, that's very unfortunate.
yeah, and but it was a lesson that I learned. I said, never again. We're not playing this game ever again. I always want to look my best because I don't want to miss an opportunity when it shows up. I am ready. So I asked this question to every single person that shows up to the show, and that is, what is the favorite book you have ever read? Maybe it's the favorite or one that has the most meaning for you that you would like to share here with us.
My favorite book is actually a hippie book because I am a hippie at heart. So I dress for success, but during my downtime, I have a funky look. I'm very laid back. It's called Be Here Now, and it's by Baba Ramdas. And this is a book about how to be mindful, how to meditate, and how to be at peace with ourselves. So meditation is a big part of my life. I like to eat clean, very healthy, organic. It just has different chapters for different stages in life, and it's a guidance on how to live really from um, a metaphysical, spiritual point of view.
Okay, thank you very much. I haven't heard of that book, but it sounds like something I would definitely enjoy reading, because I too like to always find ways to meditate and to connect with myself and to ground myself. And just like you, when I am at home and not working, I always semi jokingly, mostly semi, not quite jokingly, say I'm the happiest when I am no shirt, no shoes, just being out in the nature. I absolutely adore that. However, I fully understand I cannot show up like that to a business meeting and expect it might be a different kind of business, but for the business that I am in, I cannot
Yeah.
show up to the bank in shorts only, expecting that anybody will take me seriously.
Absolutely, 100%.
So before we are about to run out of time, but before we go, I want to make sure that we leave the audience with the way to be able to connect with you, find out more about who you are, and potentially sign up for whatever programs it is that you offer.
Yes, you can find out more information about me at empoweredbyeva.com. That's empoweredbyeva.com. And you can also find me on Facebook, Eva Barrios.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for coming to the show. I have absolutely loved having you. You have given some amazing, amazing tips. And I do always recommend that people watch the show one more time, listen to it one more time. If you have a partner, a spouse, if you have somebody you care about, invite them to watch the show and then discuss afterwards. Likely listening to this the second time, you will pick up on some of the very specific things that Eva was sharing with us here that are definitely helpful and can help you improve the image so that you always have your best foot forward. Eva, thank you very much for coming to the show.
Thank you, Nev, and thank you to your audience. Agree with the way younger women are dressing, but it's also because of social media. Sometimes they replicate whatever they see on social media. They see that, the clubbing, the all the showing the goodies out here. That's what they feel they should look like. But it's again the audience. They might be a little lost right now. Perhaps they're in college. They're probably still in high school. Maybe they don't know what they want to do with their lives. They need to be very careful though, because all these pictures are going to be on the internet forever. And a future employer, if that's the route they want to take, is going to be able to come back and see them, and they're going to judge them. End of story. If you're going to be employed by someone else, they will come back and they will see these pictures and they will judge. Do we want to have this person working for us? Do we want to be associated with this kind of an individual? I don't know. And so it's these questions people don't think about. But I mean, I'm in that age range. I'm relatively young. I mean, I'm kind of playing the old part here. And I do realize that I'm kind of putting a couple of years, but again, I'm doing it for respect because the demographic that I'm working with, they tend to be older. Sometimes they're 30 years older than I am. If I dress the way that I normally would, I had platinum hair for a while, Nev. I was a platinum Playboy bunny look-like type girl, and I didn't get any respect. Now, I don't have anything against girls that look like that. I personally did not get respect. I was called an airhead. I didn't like that very much. So I had to just kind of figure out that the blonde hair was not working for me very well. And I ended up cutting it. I ended up just leaving my hair natural black. And of course, right now I cut it even shorter because, it's about being able to do what we want to do right now. Steve Jobs wore a uniform.
Yeah.
That was a uniform. He was very utilitarian. I'm going to wake up, go to work, go to bed, period. That's the same way I am right now. I actually cut my hair. It used to be a little longer, but I really want to focus on my work right now. I don't want to go out and waste time doing X, Y, and Z. So right now, this is my utilitarian hair. I'm just going to get up and go to work, go to bed. That's it. So, we choose our look depending on the type of people that we're with, but also the phase in our lives. This is the phase that I'm in right now. And the kind of look that my audience needs for the price point that I have and the age that I'm serving. In the future, I might look different. Who knows? I have ADHD, so that could be a possibility. But it's about looking at it that way. It doesn't mean that this is who I am all the time. Not at all, because I'm a hippie. But women in general need a lot of guidance. Of course, right now we're doing the women's empowerment thing, and I'm very happy to be a part of that. And we're showing women that they can, in fact, wear, a suit. We can cover up all the way up to here if it's okay. We don't have to show our bodies. And also men, men can wear a suit. It's sexy. Men wearing suits. It's not just sexy, but it's a lost art. We don't see a lot of men wearing suits anymore.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know what? For me, there's nothing sexier than somebody who's well dressed, and I don't mean like dressed when you're, as you said, and put it, showing off the goodies. Like that's a turnoff. I don't even want to talk to you. I'm not interested. If I am able to see everything I want to see before I even have to say hello to you, I am not interested. It is that simple for me. So for me, that somebody is really well dressed, well put together, has a respect for their body, has a respect of how they show up, and you talked about the whole like a dress thing. There's nothing sexier than that little black dress, but that doesn't mean that that little black dress has to, have a cut all the way here, has to be, so short that I can actually see the bottom of your cheeks hanging out of it. That's not what that means. It means that it fits you. It means that it's simple. It means that it's beautiful and that it's not showing way too much, but just
Just
giving a
enough.
beautiful image and just enough, whether it's just a little bit of a leg or just a little bit of an arm. And, you said it well. It's a lost art of sexiness that I hope that you can bring back to the society because I like looking at beautiful things. I love paintings. I love art. And I find that fashion and human body are art when we dress them, when we clothe them, when we drape them in a way that it's meant to be.
And it's even about the language because it's not even sexy. Sexy is not even the word. I think it's demure. Demure is some element that is sensual but classy. It's more classy than it is sexy because sex has nothing to do with style sometimes. It's about intelligence and the effort that we put into it. So it's more demure, but unfortunately, because we live in a society where it's a visual avenue, I mean, you go on Instagram, it's all pictures, picture after picture after picture, and people want to grab that attention and keep it. The easiest way for someone to grab that attention is often the cheapest form. And unfortunately, that means getting plastic surgeries and adding things that would never be there naturally. But hey, they just care about getting more clicks, clicks, clicks. And I'm not really happy about that. Hopefully, we're going to be moving on to a new era here, age of Aquarius, enlightenment era. But for the most part, we're in business, and that's where you are. You're a financial guru, and you know that the world revolves around money. And as long as we have eyes, we're going to make decisions based on things that we like because we like them. They're beautiful. We want to be around them. So there has to be a balance between the two. And that's really what I want to do. I want to balance out beauty with brains. But, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, absolutely is. Absolutely is. And I do agree with you. I think demure is a much better, much more sophisticated word to describe the type of dress that I appreciate in both men and women. Men tend to go on a sloppy side, unfortunately, and women tend to go on the, as you have mentioned, of the what's popular and rap culture and kind of where things have been brought. And it's always refreshing to see somebody when they're well put together, when they coordinate, when they actually take care of themselves. And that's super rare and super amazing when you find it. So for me, if you want to stand out on something like a social media, whether it's Instagram or YouTube or whatever, or even in public as a whole, dress well, dress unlike anybody else. That doesn't mean you have to have a, pink hair and some sort of crazy, cow costume, moo outfit thing going on. Dress well, and it's guaranteed you will stand out because nobody dresses well. And as one of the mentors has put it, most people dress like they're having a bad day in Disney. And I love that quote. Absolutely love that quote. Thank you, Joe Bauer, because it's true. It's absolutely true.